Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a pretty critical moment for a specific group in the tech world. We're talking about managed service providers, MSPs, especially the smaller ones serving businesses with, say, under 50 employees. The sources we have paint a picture of a real crossroads heading into 2025.
Yeah, and there's this statistic that really sets the scene. It says only about 32% of MSPs in the U.S. are currently offering the kind of advanced AI and automation tools clients are starting to demand. But here's the kicker. That 32%, it's mostly the huge firms. The ones with over 200 employees, deep pockets, the smaller MSPs. They're getting left behind, big time.
Right. And that's exactly where the material from Growth Right Solutions, or GRS, comes in. We've been looking at their comprehensive pitch. Their whole argument is built around bridging that specific gap for those smaller MSPs. They're saying it's not just about new tools, it's about needing a totally different kind of partnership model. So our mission here is to really dissect that strategy. GRS claims they can offer, immediate, really transformative benefits. And crucially, without the usual heavy price tag or logistical nightmare that often sinks these smaller companies, we need to look closely at whether this zero-risk claim holds water. Are there hidden catches?
That's the crux of it, isn't it? How do you give a small, agile MSP the power of a giant, but without the giant-sized risk? Okay, let's unpack their main solution, starting with the money side. Their financial model.
Exactly. Small MSPs, they have to be careful with vendor contracts. They just can't afford big upfront costs for software or hardware that might just sit there. GRS seems to understand this hesitation.
They call it their zero-risk, immediate value model. So what does that actually mean in practice, financially speaking? Well, the sources are clear. GRS charges absolutely zero for joining their partner program, nothing upfront. And this isn't just like deferred payment. It's different from most partner programs that hit you with minimum order quotas or hefty initial fees. GRS says, nope, none of that. You only get billed after a product is successfully delivered and installed for your actual client. It feels like they're really shifting the risk away from the MSP.
That's a pretty big deal, yeah. It changes the whole dynamic of the partnership. Because suddenly the MSP isn't spending precious resources, which is mostly their team's time managing vendor payments or inventory risk. They can focus purely on serving their clients and finding new ones. And that lack of financial gamble connects directly to their delivery promise. It tackles the other big hurdle, actually getting this stuff deployed. They call it streamlined service delivery. GRS basically says, we handle the delivery, we handle the installation, all of it.
Okay, so if the money risk is gone, the next big headache for a small team is usually complexity, right? Training staff, managing deployments.
Precisely. And GRS claims their model solves that too. An MSP gets immediate access to sophisticated AI and automation tools, stuff that usually requires specialized skills certifications. But they get it without needing to send their team for weeks of training, buy hardware, or hire dedicated deployment engineers. For a small shop, maybe 5 or 10 people, that's like instantly adding a whole new capability. It's a capability that could otherwise take months, maybe even years, to build in-house.
Yeah, that's a huge boost to operational efficiency. A small MSP can suddenly offer solutions that look like they came from a massive tech integrator, but without bloating their own team or overhead. Changes the whole scaling conversation. Okay, so we've covered the internal benefits. Let's shift to the outside world. How does this help the MSP actually win more business, especially against those bigger players already in that 32%? The sources talk a lot about GRS creating market differentiation. They call it exclusive technology positioning.
Right, and this seems quite strategic. GRS has decided not to sell these solutions directly to end businesses. They only sell through their MSP partners. This tackles, probably the biggest complaint MSPs have about big vendors: channel conflict, where the vendor ends up competing with its own partners.
So the client can't just bypass the MSP and get the same thing cheaper directly from GRS.
Exactly. That gives the partner MSP real, genuine exclusivity in their local market. It carves out space for them and stops the race to the bottom pricing you see with commoditized IT services.
And offering something truly unique immediately elevates the MSP's brand, doesn't it? If you're the only provider in your city offering this specific AI suite, clients are going to see you as more cutting edge, more trustworthy. You're not just the IT fix-it guys anymore. You're a strategic technology leader.
Precisely. And that perception leads directly to the bottom line. Let's talk hard ROI. This is where, for you listening, it gets really compelling, especially when you're pitching to SMBs who watch every dollar. The GRS materials make some pretty bold claims here under proven ROI. Get this. They report that SMBs using these AI and automation solutions through their partners see an average 3.5 to 1 return on their investment. 3.5 to 1. And they back it up with specific operational savings numbers. Things like labor cost reductions between 20 and 40%, and productivity increases hitting 30% or even more.
Okay, hold on. 3.5 to 1 ROI, 40% labor savings. That sounds incredible, almost too good to be true. Do the sources explain how? What's the AI actually doing to generate returns like that? Is it just projections?
No, they frame it as realized gains. It seems primarily driven by automating really repetitive, time-consuming tasks. Think about things like routine customer service responses, data entry, internal compliance checks, tasks that eat up employee hours every week but don't add huge value. The AI handles that, freeing up the human staff to focus on more complex problems, client relationships, core business growth activities. It's about eliminating low-value labor.
Right. That kind of specific data-backed result completely changes the sales pitch. Not walking in talking about IT as a cost center anymore. You're leading with, how about we guarantee you a 350% return on this investment within the first year? That conversation immediately puts a small MSP on a different level than competitors just talking about speeds and feeds or security patches.
It allows them to punch way above their weight class.
Okay, so that covers winning new business. Let's pivot now to long-term stability and growth. The sources mentioned untapped revenue streams. How does this GRS partnership play into that?
Well, this is about long-term health for the small MSP. Right now, many focus on the basics, infrastructure management, cybersecurity foundations, which are essential, but they often miss out on the higher margin, premium services like sophisticated AI and automation, and those are the services driving stickier relationships and higher recurring revenue.
The GRS data is quite specific here, isn't it? It suggests integrating these premium AI services leads to around a 31% increase in monthly recurring revenue, MRR. That's the predictable subscription income that keeps an MSP stable and allows for growth. A 31% bump is significant.
It is, but honestly, the really eye-popping number, the one you just can't ignore, is about client retention. The sources claim that offering these advanced, integrated AI solutions leads to up to 42% better client retention rates. 42%.
Wow. Let's just pause on that. 42% better retention. For any small business, but especially an MSP, where client acquisition cost is high, that's transformative. Think about the time, the marketing dollars, the relationship building it takes to land a new client. Improving retention by that much fundamentally changes the profitability and stability of the business. You're growing based on loyalty.
Absolutely, and this partnership model lets them add these high retention, high MRR services without taking on huge new risks or needing massive capital upfront. They're building that stable recurring revenue and locking in their existing clients at the same time using exclusive tech that delivers real value.
Okay, so we have the financial benefits, the operational ease, the market differentiation, the ROI, the recurring revenue, the retention. What about the less tangible stuff? The brand. The sources mentioned immediate reputation enhancement.
Yeah, and community impact. It's about perception and leadership. Being an early adopter of this kind of exclusive AI tech signals that you're not just keeping up, you're actually leading the way in your local market. You're future-proofing your clients' businesses, not just maintaining the status quo.
So you stand out more.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
Remember, most small MSPs aren't doing this yet. So imagine a local chamber of commerce event or an industry meetup. The GRS partners there talking about concrete 3.5.1 ROI and automating 30% of tasks, while their competitor might still be focused on basic cloud migrations or firewall configs. It positions them as the innovator.
And becoming known as the local AI innovator probably has ripple effects too, right?
Definitely. The sources suggest it leads to more word-of-mouth referrals. And interestingly, it can even help with hiring. Talented tech staff want to work with cutting-edge tools, not just maintain legacy systems. Being the AI leader can actually attract better talent. It builds long-term brand equity and strengthens the team.
It all sounds incredibly positive. So let's bring it back to the urgency factor. The sources kept hitting this point. Why now and not later? What's the risk of waiting?
Well, the core argument is pretty simple. This AI and automation shift isn't hypothetical. It's happening now. Every month an MSP delays offering these kinds of solutions, that gap between them and the early adopters, including those larger competitors, just widens. Waiting actually increases the risk of becoming irrelevant.
So inaction is the real gamble here.
That's the clear message. Plus, the sources reinforce that the big tech vendors often overlook or underserve smaller MSPs. Their programs are built for scale they don't have. So a solution like GRS, which is designed specifically for them, zero upfront cost, ready to go, it becomes maybe the only practical way for them to leapfrog those limitations and compete effectively.
And it taps right into what clients are looking for, that blend of cutting-edge innovation and the trusted, personal relationship they get from a local provider.
Exactly. The GRS model seems designed to let their partners deliver both innovation and trust. So wrapping it all up, what does it mean? The combination of zero financial risk, immediate access to exclusive high ROI technology, and this critical market timing. It makes the GRS proposition seem like a uniquely powerful path for small MSPs, a way to not just survive the AI wave, but to actually lead it in their region and secure their future.
Yeah, the central argument presented in these sources really boils down to this. The partnership costs nothing up front. There are no apparent hidden catches. So what's stopping an MSP from grabbing these benefits right now?
And maybe that leads to the final thought, something for you to really mull over. We talked about that potential 42% improvement in client retention from offering these AI services. So the provocative question isn't just what's the benefit of joining, it's what's the real long-term cost of not exploring these kinds of exclusive, risk-free solutions today. That cost might be measured in lost clients, missed revenue, and ultimately maybe even your viability down the road. That's the hidden gamble.